All right, we are fucking back. We are so back. I took a little sabbatical from this. Took a little hiatus from the commish update vids. Had to get the mind right. Had to get the body right. But I feel good physically and mentally. And I'm ready to get back into the swing of things. You can expect these videos every Wednesday night. I made a YouTube channel. Oh, by the way, Garrett, hiatus means a pause or gap in a sequence or process, just in case you were wondering, because you probably were. But anyways, that was mean. It's funny though. Anyways, basically you get the gist. We're going to go over the results from week 4 and then look on, to next week for week 5. But we're going to get right into it. Taking a look at the results. The first game we'll talk about is my game with Ethan. The final score was 139 to 158. Ethan improves to 2-2 and 8th in the league, and I dropped to 0-4, which I don't know how I've ended up here. I looked into it, and there has never been a point or juncture in the history of this league where I've been bottom of the league after 4 weeks. But here I am, winless. I've never started a fantasy season 0-4 ever in my life, and it's just been a rough go. But I've got a strong mentality, and I'm never going to give up. I'm not going to waver. I'm not going to back down. That's not who I am. I don't do that shit. So, I play Beam next week. You better look out, because I'm ready. I'm rolling with Brock Purdy. Joe Burrow has fucked me over time and time again, and I can't deal with it anymore. I just can't keep starting Joe Burrow. I'm going to finish last if I keep starting Joe Burrow, which is a sentence I never thought I would fucking say in my entire life. But here we are. This is reality, and this is where we're at. And, to put it into perspective, I've played teams that are just dumping points on me. Interesting stat here. 3 of the first 4 weeks, I've played the highest scoring team from that week. That's 3 times. I mean, that's a recipe for disaster. The best I could be is 1-3. Here I am at 0-4, but the best I could be is 1-3 realistically. So, it doesn't matter who I play. For some reason, when they show up against the Kraken, they play the best game they've ever played in their lives. And this is where we're at. And I know it sounds like I'm making excuses, which I kind of am, but the excuses are rooted in fact. They're based in a fact. So, say what you want, but I really don't think that this 0-4 record is as bad as it looks. I think that I'll start to make an uptick in form, especially this week. I'm really, really confident this week. I really am. And Ethan, looking at your team, you're 2-2. You're one of the few teams in the league that have yet to win 2 games in a row. But you haven't lost 2 games in a row either. So you're pretty consistent at that. But you're sitting at 2-2. You're in 8th. You're just outside that playoff bubble. Or you're in the playoff bubble. You're just outside of the playoffs. I don't know what to make of your team. I really don't. You're like the Chargers. I don't know what to make of it. Like, sometimes you're good, sometimes you're not. And whether or not you make the playoffs is a total fucking mystery to me. So, figure that shit out. I would love to see some consistent performances from you, because I think you're capable of it. I do. And I know you're going to take the one bad thing I say about you and run with it and ignore all of the good things I say about you, because that's what you're going to fucking do. I just know it. But, I think that, I don't know. I don't know what to say about your team. It's a mystery. It's a mystery. We'll see where you end up. You're one of those wild card teams for sure. Game number 2 was Beam versus Andrew. This game, yet another week where Beam just escapes because the team he's playing puts up terrible fucking numbers. Like, I'm honestly sick of this shit. I really am sick of it. He skates by. He won the championship 2 years ago by the same way. Just skates by because he gets fucking lucky. And I'm sick of it, and I can't wait to beat your ass this week. I really can't. Can you hear it in my voice how fucking pumped up I am to play you? I can't wait. And if I lose, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I just look at your team and I'm not scared. I really am not scared. And I say it every week. I haven't been very kind to you in terms of your fantasy team this year because I just don't think it's good. And you're 3-1 and you're 5th in the league. You're the worst 3-1 team in the league. But you just don't deserve to be 3-1. You just don't. You should be like 1-3. But again, a win is a win, and you can't help that the teams that you're playing are shit, or play like shit that week. So, maybe I'm directing my anger in the wrong place, but you have to look at the underlying numbers. That's what fantasy is about. Sure, you're 3-1, but look at the underlying numbers, and we'll see if you can keep it up. Because I don't think you can. Because if you keep scoring 113 points each week, you're going to start running into some juggernauts, and you're going to start losing some games. So you need to figure that shit out. I know you're 3-1, but if I were you, I wouldn't feel good. I wouldn't feel good about my team. I really wouldn't. Spardella, it's weird seeing you this low in the standings. You're 9th at 2-2. But again, I still think that you're one of the best, GMs that this league has. And, if GM of the Year award was an award that we gave out, you'd get it pretty frequently, I think. I think we should make that an award. I think I am going to do that. Are you going to get GM of the Year this year? I don't know. 75 points isn't great. But then again, it's just 1 week, and you've got that Tua and Tyreek connection. And I trust you to make some moves. But you haven't made that many. You've made 14 moves so far this year. And that's not even close to the most moves made by Matt at 24. So that's, I don't know, I thought that was interesting. Pirelli's only made 4 moves. Speaking of Pirelli, it was the Newbie Bowl this week. Pirelli versus Michael. And Pirelli squeezed this win out, 142-139. I mean, look, I have to say Pirelli. I was talking a lot of shit, before the draft and at the draft. And so were you. So, you threw it my way, I threw it your way. That's fucking life. But I have to say I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Yes, you do have the best running back in the fucking league, and anyone that has him is going to have a good team probably. But I mean, I'm looking at this team, and I think it's good. And you've won 3 in a row. You're one of the hottest teams in the league, and I'm the type of commish where respect is not given. Respect is earned. You have to earn my respect, and you have. I mean, 3-1. You've been good, and I am a man that bases my opinion in fact. I'm a factual person, and I can't deny the facts. It's been a good start for you. 3 in a row, 3-1. You're in 3rd. And, I can't wait to see what else you do. You have earned my respect, Pirelli. So welcome to the league. You've kind of made it your bitch a little bit. But, you haven't played me yet. So we'll see what happens there. Speaking of somebody who hasn't earned my respect, Michael. What the fuck, man? You showed up to the draft talking about, oh, this is going to be a cakewalk. Oh, dude, you're 0-4. You're right. You're in the mud with me, man. You're in the mud with me. I know you scored 139 points this week, but you're 0-4, so it doesn't fucking matter, And, this league is not a cakewalk, and I think you're starting to realize that. Are you going to turn it around? I don't know. I really don't know. We're both in holes. We could do this together and pull each other up, or we could, do what I'm doing right now and talk shit to you. It's up to you. What do you want to do? I don't know. But you're 0-4 and you got some work to do. Will you make the playoffs this year? Probably not. But that's where you're at, and that's how it is. Next game, Kinley versus Rocky. This was a blowout. This was the biggest win margin of the week. Kinley wins by 57 points, 145-88. This was a huge game for you, Kinley. I mean, you had to win this game, because if you didn't, you'd be with me and Michael at 0-4. You're now 1-3. And, I have to say, Kinley, I miss you, man. Where's that fire? Where's that hunger? I just don't see it this year, and I don't want to be a dick, but I just don't see the fire from you this year. And maybe it's because of the bad start, being 0-3. But, even in the win, I didn't see much fire. I want to see that fire, That shit you got in here, I want to see that. I want to see the emotions worn on your sleeve, because you're a contender every year, and seeing you at 10th at 1-3 is something I'm not used to. So, pick your fucking head up. This is a big win this week. I mean, you shit on Rocky. You shit down Rocky's neck. You ripped his head off, and you shit down his fucking neck. And I think you'll probably do it to whoever you play next week. I don't know. Who do you play next week? We'll figure that out in a second. But moving over to Rocky. Rocky, the same thing I said about Ethan kind of applies to you too. Like, I don't know what to make of your team. You had a really good week 1, But you're sitting at 2-2. You're in seventh, so you're not far off of the playoffs at all. You're the last guy out, so you need Scott to lose a game. But I just don't know what to make of your team. You've won one. You won week one, then lost, then won, then lost. So one of those other teams that have yet to go on a run yet. But Jonathan Taylor is coming back, my friend. Jonathan Taylor is coming back, which is something that I know you're probably fucking pumped about, because I think the moment he steps on the field for the Colts, it's going to be fucking electric. He's so good with Anthony Richardson and that all. I just like the Colts. I think the Colts are so underrated, and AR-15 is a stud. And with him, at quarterback, and they got to worry about AR-15 running the ball, and now Jonathan Taylor's back. Who are they going to scheme for? Probably Jonathan Taylor, but still, I think he's gonna go off, and I can't wait to see what he does on your team. But again, I still don't really know what to make of your team. It could go either way. You just got to hope that Jonathan Taylor comes in and performs, which he probably will. So the next game was Gunboat Matt versus G-Man. I have to say, if there was a game where both people won, this would be the game, and I'll tell you why. I know the score was 106-140, but think about the context of this game. Matt came in last year, right? Had a terrible year. Everybody shit on him. It was bad. It was real bad. But he's come back, and he started 3-0. I know he lost this week, but he started 3-0, and he drafted. Well, he didn't draft. Well, I don't know if he drafted well, but he's made 24 moves, so I can tell he fucking cares, and he really wants to do better. And that is another scenario where you have earned my respect. To come in last and have that kind of winner's mentality where you just blow that shit off and you come back and you perform the next season, it's impressive, and I can't deny that. So I'm a big fan of Gunboat. I fucking love Gunboat, and if my team doesn't get the turnaround this season, I would like to see Gunboat up in the mix, Let's see Gunboat win this fucking... I want to put Gunboat on the trophy, I do. But I did pick G-Man to win the league this year, and it's looking pretty good right now. He's in second. He's on a roll. He's won 3 in a row. He beat the shit out of me. And, again, another guy who dealt with adversity last year with the ending of the season and how controversial that was. And he's turned around and he's back to old business, just winning games. And that's what G-Man does. G-Man wins fucking games. Again, I have to admit, he wins games. And I think you're going to be right up there. And usually when I make a prediction, it doesn't fucking happen. But this one is one of them that might. So I'm still sticking with that pick. And hopefully I don't have to play you in the playoffs, because I am going to make the playoffs, by the way. But hopefully I don't have to play you. I don't want to play you. And then the last game of the week. This was the game of the week by far. Saved the best for last. Scooter Shooters versus Washington Foreskins. 135.48 to 134.68. Scott gets the win by 0.8 points. Something that you don't see very often. But if I were you, Luke, I'd be so fucking pissed. I would be so pissed. Another chance to start 4-0. I think this would have been the third year in a row you started 4-0, which is fucking crazy. But you were so close. You were so close. This is how close you were. But it wasn't meant to be. I have to say, Scott, I am super, super impressed with the way you've handled the injuries that you've dealt with so far this season. Same with Cruz. Cruz replacing Rodgers with fucking C.J. Stroud. If I would have told you at the beginning of the year that Cruz was going to start C.J. Stroud because Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles, most people were like, why? Stroud sucks, get somebody else. But he's been the best rookie in the league in terms of, best rookie quarterback in the league. But back to what I was saying about Scott. The way that you've handled losing both of your starting running backs for the year, you're in sixth, you're 2-2. If the season ended today, you would be in the playoffs. I know it doesn't end today, but if it did, I respect that too. Another fantasy football competitor that has earned my respect, and I can't deny that. Now, are you going to be able to keep this up? I don't know. I don't think so. I just think, to lose both of your best running backs, you're it's like a Damar Hamlin kind of thing. Everyone's super happy for you because you're overcoming this adversity, but at the end of the day, you're still kind of a second string player. You're still kind of shit. So no offense, but we'll see. But taking a look at the standings, Number 1 is Luke at 3-1. No surprise there. 2, G-Man and Pirelli in third. G-Man and Pirelli are on 3-game winning streaks, which is the longest active streak in the league. Cruz in fourth at 3-1. Beam in fifth at 3-1. Scott, the last playoff team in there, at 2-2. Rocky just in the bubble at 2-2 and in seventh place. Ethan in the bubble as well at 2-2 in eighth. Spard in the bubble at 2-2 in ninth. And then on the outside looking in 10th is Kinley at 1-3. And then at the fucking bottom of the fucking barrel is myself and Sharaman. However, I am last, and Sharaman is 11th at 0-4. So, 4 weeks into the season, this is not where I expected I would be. I wouldn't have expected Spard to be where he's at. I wouldn't expect Kinley to be 10th. Luke and G-Man as the top 2 teams in the league, that makes sense. And then Cruz at 4th. Huge. You are comeback player of the year if you can keep it up. Good for you. Beam continues to be the luckiest fucking team of all time. And then Scott, Rocky, and Ethan kind of just have always been in the middle of the road. And that's where they are. Well, Scott's in the playoffs, but that's where Rocky and Ethan are. There's been some moves that were made this week. If you take a look at the trades that just went through, interesting trades. I had to write them down, but Beam is going to trade Derrick Henry to Pirelli in return for Drake London and DeAndre Swift. Now, this trade is interesting. Derrick Henry, the Titans are weird this year, but he's still Derrick Henry. And now Pirelli has Derrick Henry and Christian McCaffrey on the same team, which is kind of crazy. But is Derrick Henry going to, come out and run the ball like he did 3 years ago? If he does, it's over. Like, this league is done for. Pirelli's going to win it. But I kind of think Beam won this trade. Drake London, I'm not super high on Drake London just because his quarterback isn't that great. But DeAndre Swift, he's been balling, and he's on one of the best offenses in the league, and he's just going to keep balling. And I think this was actually kind of a stroke of genius from Beam, trading away Derrick Henry, who's on kind of a declining team, a team that's kind of fizzling out in the Titans, and then getting DeAndre Swift, who's on an offense that is only going to get better as the season goes. And then Drake London, the ceiling on Drake London is high. He's a young receiver. He still has a lot to prove, though. But the ceiling is high for him. And then Jalen Hyatt is going to get dropped in this trade. Beam has to drop him. Jalen Hyatt, we don't need to talk about the Giants. It's a waste of time. No one wants to talk about the Giants. They blow. But Jalen Hyatt hasn't had the start to the season that he thought he would, so he probably does belong in free agency. And then only one other trade happened this week. That's between me and Ethan. Now, this trade is kind of like for like. Jacoby Myers and Khalil Herbert will be sent over to Ethan, and I will receive Najee Harris and Tyler Lockett. I know what you're thinking. Why the fuck would I trade for Najee Harris? Well, I'm pretty deep at running back, and, he's just going to stay on my bench anyways. What I needed was a reliable wide receiver that I can kind of put in my flex, because I kind of shit the bed in the draft in terms of getting wide receivers. I drafted a lot of unproven guys. Brandon Cooks I drafted, who's been terrible this year as the start. And then Jackson Smith and Jigba hasn't had the start that I thought he would. And DeAndre Hopkins hasn't been great either. So really the only good wide receiver I have, or consistent wide receiver that I have, was Jacoby Myers and Stephon Diggs. But even then, Myers wasn't all that consistent, especially if Jimmy G's not in the game. Some weeks he gets 20 targets, the next week he gets 2. I think Tyler Lockett provides that consistency and allows me to feel a little bit more comfortable in starting him over Jacoby, just because I just think the Seahawks are a more stable team than the Raiders. And I think Tyler Lockett is always going to get looks. Jacoby, if Jimmy G isn't playing, he's not going to get a lot of targets. Not to mention the Raiders are a dumpster fire. So I just decided to ship him off. He's on a bad team. Khalil Herbert, I like Khalil, but I'm never going to play him. And Najee, I think they're both, is Khalil Herbert really that better than Najee? I think he is a little bit better than Najee. But is he that? I don't know. I think they're kind of even. So I made the switch. Fuck it. Leak it. I don't give a fuck. But yeah, to end this, We're going to look at week 5. We're just going to make some predictions. Myself versus Beam in week 5. I got to pick myself. You know, I'm very confident this week. I haven't been this confident all season long. I feel really good, and I think I'm going to get my first win of the year. And Beam will drop to 3-2, and finally, he'll be where he belongs, in the L column. Spardella versus Gunboat. I got to take Spardella here, to be honest. I know all the good things I said about Cruz, but I just don't see Spardella losing 2 in a row. You know, he's the Bill Belichick. He's won 2 championships already, and Bill Belichick doesn't lose 2 games in a row, except for this year. So maybe he is the Bill Belichick of this year. I don't know, but I still am very high on Spardella until proven otherwise. So I'm going to roll with Spard. Lil Baked Bean versus Kinbob. Now, this is a big game, and I want to pick Pirelli just because, like, he has CMC, but I'm not gonna. I'm going to pick Kinley just because I want Kinley to be in contention. The league is a better place when Kinley is active and talking shit to people, and he needs to be winning in order to do that. So I'm picking Kinley. That pick comes from my heart, brother. I want to see you succeed, and I think you will, and you'll get the win and improve to 2-3. The next game is Scooter Shooters versus Doc Rocks Motherfuckers. I think this is the week that the running back injuries catch up with Scott, and Rocky gets the win. Jonathan Taylor's coming back. I just see Rocky winning this game, and if Rocky does win this game, he leapfrogs Scott in the playoff standings. The next game is Michael versus Ethan. Now, this game is huge for me. It's huge for me because if I win this week and Michael loses, I'm not looking back because he's gonna be dead last, and I'm not even gonna fucking think about it. So I'm picking Ethan this week. Strictly strategical pick. I just don't want Michael to win because if he wins, that's a lot of pressure on me, and I need to focus on myself. So I'm not going to worry about Michael, but I do hope he loses. And then the final game of the week is the game. Well, it's the game of the week. Number 1 versus number 2. G-Man versus Luke. Huge game. I really don't know who to pick here. It could go to either player. Both have my respect. Both are incredible fantasy players. And I think I'm going to roll with Garrett. I just think, I don't know. Hold on, let me think about this. Let me look at these lineups. Yeah, I'm going to go with Garrett just because Dak Prescott starting at quarterback for Luke is kind of hilarious. Yeah, I'm going with Garrett. I think he's got Travis Kelce. He's got Devontae Adams. He's got the best receiver, arguably the best receiver, and the best tight end in the game. Not arguably. Travis Kelce is the best tight end. I'm going Garrett. I think Garrett will improve to 4-1, and then in week 5 as the number 1 seed in the league. But that has been, the Commissioner Week 4 video. Eventually, I'm going to get a new laptop, and I'll be able to edit these videos and make them a little bit more entertaining. But for now, you just got to sit here and listen to me talk. So it's been a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you guys in week 5, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Sayonara.